I'd like to call this meeting of this City of Kokomo Board of Zoning Appeals for January 2nd, 2024 to order. First thing, if you have a cell phone, I would request that you silence
Hey,
them.
folks, we're trying to call the meeting to order, please. Thank you.
If you have a cell phone, please silence it. First thing we'll do is we'll have a pledge of allegiance and a moment of silence.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. First order of business is the election of officers for the Board of Zoning Appeals.
Yeah, so I would open the floor for nominations for chairman for the year 2024.
I nominate John Myers for chairman of the Board of Zoning and Appeals, please.
Second.
Motion, nominations be closed.
Thank you.
Second.
All in favor of Chairman Myers for chairman for 2024, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. The next office will open the floor for nominations for vice chair.
I'd like to nominate Tina Durham for vice chair.
Second.
Move the nominations be closed.
Nominations have been closed. All in favor of Tina Durham for vice chair, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you both. Appreciate it.
All right, first item is the approval of minutes of December 5th, 2023 meeting.
Move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion to approve and second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Minutes approved.
Mr. President, there are three continuances tonight, so everyone will know. We'll mention those right off the top here. The first continuance is case P33V23. These are the variances for 324 East Vale Avenue. If you're here for that case has been continued until the February meeting. The next item continued is case P34V23. Again, this is variances for 220 East Vale Avenue. This case by the petitioner has been continued and will be heard in the February meeting as well. The next case that's continued is case P18SE23. This is the property at Walnut Creek. It's north of 4600 Coulter Drive. This is for the special exception, and the petitioner has also asked that this case be continued until the February meeting. So if you're here for case P33V23, P34V23, or P18SE23, none of those cases will be heard tonight. I apologize if you had to come out, but if you're here for those meetings, they will not be heard. So the only case we're going to hear tonight is case P36V23. I want to start off with a statement. I know that's why 3 or 4 of you are here. Unfortunately, there's a lot of misinformation, I believe, going around about what's happening. Because most of what is being talked about, that what I've been made aware of through phone calls and through emails, those conversations have not even taken place yet. I'm not sure where all this information got started. I can guarantee you it did not come from the city administration. It did not come from my office. And I just talked to the folks from Kimley Horn who are representing Chick-fil-A. It did not come from their office. So I'm not sure where all this got started. But I just want everybody to understand that this board only votes on the variances that are presented before us tonight. So if you're here to talk about roads being widened and all this other stuff that's going around, we will not entertain those questions tonight. Because this board does not have those answers. That will be at another public hearing before the Plan Commission Board. They're the ones that decide development plan approval, not the variances. So this board can only vote on variances that are before us tonight. I believe there's 7 different variances. If you have questions about those, you can certainly come to the microphone and talk. But anything with development plan approval, widening of roads, or any of that other stuff, that will be in another meeting. That development plan has not even been applied for yet, so I can't even tell you when that meeting will be. But adjoining property owners will be notified, just like you were for tonight's meeting. Okay? Yes, ma'am.
Since most of us aren't lawyers and don't know the legalese of the variances,
Greg,
could
change
you
your
tell
name
us
and
what
address.
those, because we've seen the letter, but variance XYZ 23B.
They will all be explained.
Can you tell us what those variances are?
They will all be explained. We're going to vote on those variances one at a time, and they will all be explained. Yes, ma'am. Okay, does anybody have any questions before we get started? I'm not trying to be rude, there's a certain procedure that we have to follow, and this board is only allowed to vote on the variances. If you have anything to say, sir, you need to come to the microphone, I'm sorry, because you'll be part of the record. I need your name and address, please.
Travis Vandergrift, 1207 Belvedere Drive.
Okay.
Just for clarity, and my apologies, I don't mean to interrupt your
No,
stuff
you're
here.
fine.
So you're saying you don't have the plans on where they're building this in this lot and their entrances and that sort of stuff?
We have a conceptual site plan, but we don't have a complete site plan. And there, from what I understand, there's a lot of information going around that the Belvedere Drive and.
Is that knowledge public?
Are going to, pardon me?
Is that knowledge public? The conceptual plans?
Yeah, it's in the packet. You can look at the conceptual.
Okay,
Yeah.
awesome. Yeah, yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, I think that would help clarify any misunderstanding about this kind of thing, if that was more
But
public,
what
I
I'm
should say.
saying is that
Right.
conceptual drawing, that has nothing to do with what's going on about Belvedere Drive and Imperial Drive being widened. And I've heard reports that the city's gonna take front yards and use eminent domain to do all that. And I've heard all those crazy
Right.
stories.
How they set the building will also determine their entrance and exits, correct?
Possibly, yeah.
I mean, more than likely, right?
Possibly.
So I think that's where we're talking about is that
The
if
actual-
this is voted in, we may not have a choice down the road on what's gonna happen thereafter.
Well, you
Does that make
could,
sense?
because this is such a large lot that they could always come back with a different plan.
Oh, yeah, there's 10 different
So-
plans they could have.
So,
Well-
folks, please, one at a time. We're gonna keep this.
Thank you for your time, sir. Thank you.
No, what I'm saying is, that conceptual plan shows the building being, just south of the entrance, onto 931 there by the, emergency care facility. That's where the conceptual plan shows the building.
Okay.
Okay?
Yep, thank you.
You would state your name and address.
Sheila off 1201 Belvedere Drive at the very dead end. If this is not true, what you're saying, how come I got a certified mail delivered to the postal girl to come to my front door? I had to sign for this, whether I accept it or no matter what, or accept it.
Can I see that letter?
Yeah, sure.
You're probably an adjoining property owner, would be my guess. That's why you
No,
got
it's
that.
my property.
No, it's
You're
not
you're
yours.
adjoining,
That's what we're saying.
you're adjoining the
There's
property.
where they want to put my street all the way through, but there's a building right in front of it.
No.
Yes, there is.
I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is, this letter, by state statute, any property that touches this property has to be notified. That's why you were notified of these variances, okay?
That's not your letter though,
Huh?
right? Is that their letter just saying that they're hearing?
This is the notice of public hearing that was in the Tribune, yes. So yes, if your property touches any portion of this property, by state statute, you have to be notified of what's going on, and that there's a public hearing for that. But as you can see, the only thing that's talked about in here are the variants. There's nothing in here about roads being widened or anything like that. Where? There's nothing in here about roads being widened, man.
Through the street frontage.
That is a variance for a front yard setback. That has nothing to do
Okay.
with the street.
The people in the dead-end streets, which is Belvedere and Imperial, got these certified mails. We had to sign for
I
them.
understand, man, but that's state statute. You have to get those by state statute.
Your property adjoins
Your
that
property
whole lot.
adjoins that whole lot. So anything that touches where that lot would be has to be notified by certified mail that's the intent of this meeting. That's why you're notified, so you can come to the meeting. But what I'm trying to say is, the only thing that this board is talking about tonight are these variances that are listed right here. Because that's all that this board has the purview to do. The Plan Commission Board will look at everything else after development plan approval is applied for, and there'll be another public hearing, and you'll be notified of that public hearing just like you were for this one. Okay? This doesn't mean this is changing your property or anything else. But state statute says you have to be notified because you're an adjoining property owner.
Well, there's only 3 of us on the dead end.
Yeah, I know what it says.
Wouldn't want to say unless I made a big old. I went around and told everybody in the neighborhood. I gave them my copy so they could see what it said. Now listen, I've lived in that house, and they can't take my house away just because,
Ma'am, nobody's taking your house away.
well,
Nobody's taking your house.
Chick-fil-A says they are.
Who said, do what?
Chick-fil-A said they are.
The people from Chick-fil-A are in the audience, and they've never.
I know they are.
Okay. There's been no discussion. The city's not gonna take anybody's house away to put a restaurant in the city of Kokomo. It's just not gonna happen.
They can put a restaurant somewhere else, that's what I'm saying.
That's not our law.
Okay,
Okay?
all right.
All right, thank you.
Clea Oliver, 5768 West, 00 North South. I think some of the issues are, and I've just spoke with Jessica, you know, as Greg knows, and, you know, probably a lot of you know, I'm all for transparency in government. I would like to see, and I know it's been in the process of putting the packets online. You know, I've been going to these meetings for probably 25 years, and finally the city or the county is starting to put the packets online so that people know what's happening. Probably nobody here knows or have seen the packet, and that's a lot of the issues. I think, you know, these organizations, these entities, city, county, and so forth, kind of create their own problems because nobody knows what's going on. You know, you put it in the paper, some people get the paper, some don't, some go online, some, you know, and not. And like I said, it just, I feel like that a lot of this stuff needs to be put online, you know, to see what's going on, the packets and everything. It can be, I've already contacted, you know, all the attorneys and it can be. So I think, you know, I sent a letter to you, Greg, and I appreciate, you know, but I know that county's redoing their website, the city can put those things on there so people can see them.
And I believe we've had that conversation with the city, correct?
Yeah.
So we've had that conversation.
And I appreciate it, I really do, because like I said, I'm all for transparency and,
Absolutely.
and people need to know what's going on and what they're privy to. So,
Absolutely.
thank you.
You're welcome.
Can I make a suggestion for you on?
Yes, sir.
First of all, I want to make a motion of order. I want every one of these variances to be voted on separately.
Yep, I'm absolutely fine with
And
that.
can we take
Yes.
5 minutes just to read each one of them and give these people a brief understanding of what we're looking at so they won't be confused? Because if you try to read what we're looking at, if you don't have this book, and then if you don't have about 10 hours, you're still not going to get it. So I'd like for us just to go through and tell you guys what the variances are and what they're looking at and what we are looking at as a board.
Thank you.
You wanna make that a motion?
I can do it. You want to do it? You want to read it?
Yep.
Are you ready? I'm sorry. ma'am, go
It's
ahead.
okay. Has there been a variance applied for to open Belvedere going into that?
No, ma'am.
Because I've lived
No,
there
ma'am.
41 years, and it was open at one time for Kmart, and because of traffic going in the addition, that's why they closed it 40-some years ago. So, you know, that information should be known to Chick-fil-A, that
There's no
Why
variance,
it was
there's no variance
closed.
on the docket tonight for that. There's no variance on the docket tonight for that.
okay, that's all I want to know. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. Okay, so we need to read this into the record, I assume, first. So let's read the whole thing into the record, we'll confuse everybody. Let's read the whole thing in the record, and then we'll go through them one at a time. We'll vote on them separately, so that way everybody understands what we're voting on. Does that make sense?
Can we clarify yet what each one of them are? Instead of saying
Okay,
variance
go right-
section
Go right ahead and
423B.
do that. Go ahead and do that, and then I'll read everything into the record.
Okay, the first.
I'm fine
To
with that.
first
discuss
ver-
the case, do we have to make a motion to open it up for discussion?
No, we're just discussing what's gonna happen. Then I'll read it into the record, then we'll do the motion. Okay?
Okay.
go
Everything
ahead,
is here is because of the wording that's in the book, okay? The first variance they want, section 423B, is for a drive-through to be parallel with a street that has traffic. Okay, they want the drive-through window next to that. If you're gonna do that, you have to have a variance for that building to sit there and that drive-through to be parallel with, even though there's a median there and everything else.
Parallel to what?
Yeah, parallel to.
931,
To the street.
any street, any street,
Okay, so there are three streets, two streets,
any
any
street.
street, okay, so.
Any street, okay? We'll get into the specifics, I'm just taking. The second one, they want a variance of 12 foot for a maximum yard setback. They want to go farther back off of 931 for the front yard setback than what the variance says. So if they want to change, if they want that number changed, that's what they're here for, a 12-foot variance to come for the maximum setback, okay?
12 foot farther back from,
931.
From 931. They're going further into the parking area.
Coming back this
Into
way.
the parking lot.
from 931 or from the edge of the parking lot existing?
931.
It'd be from the edge of the parking lot. From the edge of the parking
From the
lot,
edge of the parking lot
Yes.
as it exists now?
as it exists now, yes.
This was kind of confusing because the impervious surface is actually going to or it's going to reduce in size, but they're asking for a 10% variance, but it's going to go down from, since it's all parking lot, it's going to go down from like 98% to, help me, 87, 84?
Yep.
Something like that. 80?
80,
Okay, so
80%.
where there's going to be concrete building, gravel, stone is going to decrease because there's going to be some greenery put in there and that stuff, that will decrease the amount of asphalt that's there. That's that one.
So that's gonna help in reality.
Okay, variance, section 69E this is technically an accessory building because it's sitting in front of the main structure. The book says you can't have an accessory building in front of your primary building. So we have to look at this particular instance, what the primary building is, what the secondary building is, and can it go there? Okay, that's what that one's about.
Explain that a little bit further, a secondary, primary.
Okay,
This is for the canopy. That's going in front of the,
The primary is the building and the.
yeah. Say you got a really big lot, and let's even say you're on a corner lot. Say you're on a corner lot, and you've got a rather large house, and you want to put a pole barn out there. Don't think of any other variance you need, and you want to put that pole barn in front of your house because your house sits way back on your lot. Your primary building would now be in the back. You can't do that without approval. So since the existing building is there, the existing businesses, that's a primary. So this is going to be a secondary building, which is going to be in front of it. That's because it's where it's being located. Okay?
So this is gonna be secondary in front of the recruiters or the
Yes.
beauty salon or
That
whatever?
whole, it's secondary to that whole large, yes,
That doesn't have anything to do with it.
that is correct. Okay? Next variance is a variance of 3 feet, section 424.1B. They're saying they want to put a larger sign, they want a variance of 3 feet for this, in the specifics. They want to make the sign larger than what the ordinance says they can put there. So if they want to do that, they have to ask permission to put a larger sign than what the ordinance says. Next thing is, they want 2 wall signs, is that correct?
correct. They're allowed 2, they want 3? No. I thought you guys wanted. We're allowed 1. You're allowed 1 and you're asking for, because you want 1 on each elevation, correct?
The size of the sign, 88 feet.
Yeah, they want the total signage has a number that it has to be at. they want to go over that 88 square feet. And we'll get into the particulars of what that is, because I don't know if we're going off the 300 or if we're going off the size of the building. We're going off 300. So, those are what the variances are and why they're asking for them. That's all that's going on tonight. Is those variances. Okay? Now, as some of your questions come into that, I have no idea until we get into the meeting, but that's what we're looking at. I hope I explained that, because I don't normally have that in my job title. All right.
Okay, we're gonna read this into the record, and then we'll ask for a motion for it. So, case P 36V23, petitioner Kimberly Horn on behalf of Chick-fil-A requesting a variance of section 4.23BG, a drive-through to place a drive-through along a street frontage, variance of 12 foot to section 4.16.2, maximum front yard setback, a variance of 10% to section 4.16, maximum impervious surface coverage, and a variance to section 6.19 in order to place an accessory structure in front of a primary structure, a variance of 3 feet to section 4.241BC, that's wall sign height that Mr. Besser just talked about, variance of 2 wall signs to section 4.241BC, location of wall signs, and variance of 88 square feet to section 6.41AB, cumulative square footage of all signs. This is in a C2 zone within the regional center overlay containing 10.52 acres at 1805 East Markland Avenue. So now we can ask for a motion.
Need a motion?
I move that we approve case number P 36-V-23 and adopt the findings of the petitioner to those of this board and make those findings part of our records, please.
Second.
Before we vote, doesn't that motion have to say we're going to vote separately, Greg, or not?
Yeah, and you might, yes, that's good. You might add to that, we're going to vote for each one of these variances separately instead of combined.
So I'll amend to that
Thank
we will
you.
vote on each of the variances, which there are 3, separately.
Seven.
There's
Seven.
seven.
Yeah, we're going to do all 7 of them separately.
Separately.
Yes.
Ma'am,
Ma'am?
you have to come to the microphone. It's not, we have to do it because it's a public meeting. Please.
When you get there, I need your name and address.
I'll give it to you right now.
Well, we'll wait till you get in front of there.
Marie Ayler, 1400 Belvedere Drive, Kokomo, Indiana, 46902.
Thank you.
I've lived in there for about 5 years. My question is about the building they're going to build. Is this going to be a building for trash, that therefore there will be rodents possibly that will invade that place? I mean, if I put my trash out for the amount of trash that they're going to have,
Well, there'll be a dumpster enclosure like all restaurants have, yes.
but is it not going to draw rodents?
Well, ma'am, any restaurant in Kokomo.
That's what I'm asking. I have no,
Can draw rodents.
I have no rodents in my house, and I feel that my neighbors don't either. But when we have this kind of trash that is going to be just down the couple blocks from us and stuff, these rodents are going to migrate.
Let me ask you,
Would you want it next to you?
let me ask you this. Do you have any restaurants near you now?
They're across the street.
How far?
Well, however far it is from, say, quarter of a mile.
Well, again, this is more of a site plan question, but I will answer it since you're up here. Any restaurant or anyone that has private trash has to have a dumpster, and it has to be fully enclosed.
Okay.
So it'll be fully enclosed with gates, so it's always closed, unless they're getting the trash picked up. Okay?
Wish it was next to your house.
Whatever, ma'am. Yeah, I feel the same way. All right, so the first variance that we're going to look at tonight is variance of section 4.23B on the drive-through. So we could have the representatives from Kimberly Horn come up and talk about that one. And kind of explain what you're asking for, and then we'll get.
Go ahead and state your name and address.
Sure. My name is Justin Lurk. I'm with Chick-fil-A. Address is 5200 Buffington Road in Atlanta, Georgia. I'm our principal development lead over the Midwest region. And-
Can you speak up a little bit so they can't hear you?
Is this any better?
Thank you.
Okay, let me start over. Justin Lurk with Chick-fil-A. I'm our principal development lead over the state of Indiana. Address is 5200 Buffington Road, Atlanta, Georgia. So I wanted to clear up what I've just heard as well, but we, Chick-fil-A, are not proposing to make any connection that is not existing today. So the existing connection off of State Route 931 Reed Road stays as is, and then the connection up on Markland Avenue stays as is. We are not proposing any other connections into that center. We're just looking to take some of the asphalt away and then put our building and drive-through there and add some greenery, as you mentioned as well. So we'll go through that to give you a better visual this evening as well, okay?
So are you saying you're not going to open up into the complex?
We have no plans to do that, zero. Yep. So I don't know where,
That's already zoned business.
Pardon me, ma'am? We're not rezoning anything. These are variances. There's a difference. This is already zoned for business. It's already zoned for
The whole
businesses.
area is business there. So that whole area is business.
okay. Do you know how we click this over? Okay, got it. Yeah, so we're going to pull, we did just send in a site plan overlay over the aerial, and we'll pull that up on the screen so everybody can see how our building and our drive-through. So what's being pulled up on the screen right now is just a site plan overlaid on the existing aerial. And again, we are not proposing any connection to the south from this development into any of the residential neighborhood. Okay, so I think that'll calm a lot of people down because it seemed like there was some misinformation out there, okay? We don't want to get off with the wrong foot in the city of Kokomo here, so. All right. So I'll just give a 30-second
Sure.
30-second elevator speech of Chick-fil-A. So while we are a brand, if you will, and a lot of people say, oh, we don't want another corporate restaurant coming in. We are a corporate brand of Chick-fil-A, but there will be a local owner-operator that is solely responsible for this restaurant, and that's their sole source of income. So that owner-operator hasn't been selected yet. We don't select that owner-operator until we go under construction. Because it's your sole source of income, you would have to terminate any other employment. And you're only guaranteed one location as a Chick-fil-A franchisee. So that's quite a bit different than most other franchisees where you say, hey, I want to buy the state of Indiana and I want to open up 50 locations. You can't do that at Chick-fil-A, you get one location. So could be someone in this room today that would be the local owner-operator, okay? We were started back in 1946 by our founder, Truett Cathy, in Atlanta, Georgia, where he opened up his first diner with his brother, and they were opened up 6 days a week, 24 hours a day. And then they closed down on Sundays to give themselves and their team members a day of rest, and we still honor that tradition today. We're big on partnering in the communities in which we operate. I don't know if I could advance these slides or not, but I think the biggest thing I wanted to highlight here is that it's going to be a local owner-operator. It's their sole source of income, and they would be solely responsible for making sure that everyone has a positive impact or a positive experience when you come into Chick-fil-A. So the first variance that we wanted to talk about, remind me which one of those it is.
Drive-through in front.
Drive-through in front, okay. So, perfect. Let me just go to this slide, which again, I think will help. So the red box just highlights the area within the existing center that we're looking to develop, okay? Again, the access point on 931 stays the same. The access point on Markland Avenue stays the same. We're just looking to redevelop that red shaded area that you see up on the screen today. We've looked at this site plan 100 different times on how to rotate the building and where to put the drive-through. And, with your city ordinance not allowing a drive-through between the building and a street, which would be State Route 931, we felt like this site plan that we're putting in front of you maximizes the traffic flow within the site, within the development, to where we're not being an adverse impact on the other tenants within the development as well. So just maximizes the drive-through, the amount of cars that we'll be able to utilize within the drive-through. If I could click this over to the next. So this would be that site plan within that red area, the red hashed area. So the access point off of Reed Road, if you're looking at this site plan, that access point is on the north side of that page. You can kind of see the curb line of Reed Road on the northwest corner of this screen here. The two shaded areas that you see on this site plan are our canopies. So we'll have two freestanding canopies. The building is the primary structure. That's kind of almost a rectangle shape that you see kind of in the center of the screen there. And then we've got a canopy over the order points, so it protects our team members when they're out there in inclement weather, taking your order face to face with an iPad or some kind of technology like that. So that would be the blue shaded area that you see on the far right-hand side of the screen. The blue shaded area on the left side of the screen is the freestanding canopy over the pickup window or the pickup door. So again, meant to protect you as a customer and our team members when they're bringing the food out to you when you pick up your food. So that's one of the variances that we'll go through here today. But looking at this site plan, you would enter the drive-through. Let me see, does this have a... You would enter the site plan on the south side of the screen. I'm going to step away from the mic for a second and go up here and just kind of, so there's a lot of people here. I want to make sure they have a full understanding of how the traffic would flow, okay? So this is the existing access point off of Reed Road that you would use to enter the development for the salon, Hobby Lobby, etc. All this would stay the same, and you would come down this drive aisle and then enter the drive-through here. Here would be the order points where you would place your order. You would wrap around the building. This is our building. And then you would pick up at the drive-through window right here. And that's between the building and Reed Road. And that's the variance we're talking about now, is having a drive-through component between the building and the road. So if you could visualize kind of rotating the buildings where the drive-through pickup window is facing north, you have less room, or you would take up more room within the development. So again, looking at the site plan 20 different ways in conjunction with the landlord and some of the existing tenants that have the right to approve any changes to the site plan. Here's how we land with the most efficient site plan. So I just wanted to make sure everybody understood the flow of traffic. So again, after you're leaving the drive-through, you're heading south, and then you can come back around and go up and go north on Reed Road, or you can go back up to Markland on the north side of the page here. Okay? Nothing is proposed to connect on the south.
Just for my own information, are all Chick-fil-A's locally owned or some corporate?
All are locally owned.
That's what I thought.
Yes, sir.
I just want to make sure.
You don't
Thank you.
have a franchisee right now?
No, ma'am.
Oh, the dine-in also.
Yes, ma'am. There'll be tables inside, and then you can enter the drive-through as well.
Folks, I'm sorry, I don't want, I'm not trying to be rude, but if you're going to have comments, you've got to come to the microphone, because this is recorded, it's also on KGov, and we can't get all the comments if you don't come to the microphone. So please, if you want to speak, come to the microphone.
So the two questions I just answered are, is the local owner or operator selected yet? The answer is no.
Okay.
The second question was, can you dine inside? And yes, we will have tables inside to where you could dine inside or use the drive-through.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So I want to be respectful of, I know you want to vote on each one individually. Do you want us to go through all 7, or do you want to go through one at a time and vote?
I would prefer just to go through one at a time and vote.
Yes, sir.
Go to number 2. It'll
Yes,
take
sir.
a little bit more time, but I want to make sure everybody understands.
So do we.
What's going on here.
So do we.
Is the board all in agreement with that?
Yes.
Okay.
Do we have any comments from any members of the board?
Just for comparison, is this very similar to the same footprint as, say, your Carmel, Westfield store?
Absolutely. We just opened up
I've frequented
Carmel.
that many times.
Correct, yes. Yep, Westfield, same format, right around 5,000 square feet.
Okay.
Right around 70, 75 seats inside.
Do I have any other comments from anybody in the audience? Would step to the mic, state your name and address.
Judy Price, 2008 Corvette Drive. The path through the parking lot, are you going to go right in front of Hobby Lobby or somewhere in the middle of the parking lot, or how are you going to create that path? And I have other questions pertaining to that too.
So we're going to try to pull up the other aerial where the site plan is, we're going to pull up the other aerial where the site plan is overlaid, so you can kind of see the drive aisles, and we'll have them zoom in here a little bit. So Hobby Lobby is more on the south side of the screen. The question was, how are the drive aisles be in relation to Hobby Lobby? Is that correct? Is that your question? Yeah. Okay. I'm going to step away from the microphone and go back up here just so you have a good understanding.
So all of these parking spaces that are shown in blue, we're going to restripe those. Those are the same as they exist today. Horizontal spaces will be a few landscaping islands added in as well. But Hobby Lobby's down here. The salon is right here. We're looking to put our building up here on the northwest corner of the development. And then the change in parking right now, there's parking going this way, 90-degree parks, north or south. So this is the area in red that we had shaded on that other area that just shows the impacted area. So this square, if you will, is the area that we're changing. We're just restriping these spaces here and adding a few landscape islands. Okay. So there's still a main drive aisle in front of Hobby Lobby and the salon that stays. There'll be another north-south drive aisle here, and it intersects with this east-west drive aisle, and all the other east-west drive aisles stay the same. Okay?
Okay, that answers the question with the parking lot. My concern, and I think a lot of people's concern, is not the parking lot. It's how they get in and out, the ingress and the egress. And that variance, if you give them that variance, that's all part of the traffic flow. They're either going to go to 931, if they're going south, they're going to have to turn on 931.
Man, those entrances, they're already there.
Yes, but
They're
traffic,
already there.
do you drive by there very often?
I drive by there all the time, man.
Okay, you got the entrance going out, the egress from Staples, and right across from there is Wendy's, and an exit from Walmart. A mess all the time. Then you got the intersection. And if they're going south, they're gonna go out on they're gonna try to turn left on the Markland, go to the stoplight and try to turn south again. More congestion for that intersection.
I understand, but that's more of development plan approval, not what we're talking about tonight.
Well, if you approve the variance, then that's going to give them more room to do what? And you said you didn't know where this came from. I've seen that picture.
Okay.
I don't know where and how it got on the internet.
Well,
But it's
man,
there.
you're pretty good, because I've been on this board for a long time. I saw that picture today at 2 p.m. is the first time I ever witnessed it. 2 p.m. this afternoon is the first time I ever saw that picture.
And keep in mind, even if this variance would not be approved, that they could always turn the building and make it so they would not have to have a variance for the drive-through. This is just something they're asking for. So this really has nothing to do with the development. That's all development plan approval that'll have to be decided by the Plan Commission Board. Okay?
Sheila, 1201 Belvedere Drive. I'm not against Chick-fil-A. at all. I don't eat there, I've never been there, but at the same time, you have enough places out there anyway to eat. The thing is, okay, maybe we're not gonna make the streets all the way through Imperial and also Belvedere. But people come down Belvedere quite often, because I'm the very dead end, and they park in the street and walk over to Hobby Lobby. Now they're gonna walk over to Chick-fil-A, because they don't want the traffic on 31, go down and get in the parking lot and come out, even on Markland. I know what the traffic is. I've lived there for quite a few years, since '07. I know what the traffic is. People on Belvedere do not see that sign that says dead end. And you know, my driveway, if I charged a quarter for everybody turning around my driveway, I wouldn't have to pay property taxes or insurance for the rest of my life, because nobody sees that sign that says dead end. And I know what it would be, because people park there anyway to go to Hobby Lobby. People park there even walk to Staples on nice days. And what you're going to end up doing is end up more traffic in the Cedar Crest addition, which is a residential. It's been residential since '56, all those houses built. Mine was built in '58. Kids come out and play in the sidewalks. We don't need any more congested in that area. Really. Kids can't come out on the sidewalk and play anymore. My grandkids come down and see me. They live on Meadowbrook. They come and stay on the sidewalk, come down and see me all the time. They can't come down. It's going to be so much traffic. I don't care which way you look at it. Whether you do allow the streets opened or not, it's not necessary. Leave it as a residential neighborhood. It's been residential for so long. Have Chick-fil-A put it somewhere else, not in a parking lot, not there. They can go down where Whiskey Creek was. They can go down there south where Auto Work, where Car Shop was, next to the Mexican restaurant that used to be Dog and Suds. They can put it there. It's already got the car hops out there and stuff like that. Put it somewhere else, not in that parking lot. It's so congested anyway. And also the 31 traffic, yeah, they'd be trying. You're going to have more accidents. You might as well have a police and ambulance standing by all the time, 24 hours, 7 days a week, or 6 days a week, because they're not open, because they're Christian. Chick-fil-A, as well as Hobby Lobby. Okay, leave it alone. Leave residential alone, period.
Again, ma'am, I'm sorry, I'm not trying to be rude,
I know,
but.
but I shouldn't have got this letter if you didn't want me to get it, because it was from this company.
Ma'am, that's not, you have to get that letter, because you're a zoning property owner. But
only 3 of them got it.
The state of, huh?
Only 3 people got it.
How many people were on the list? Do you remember, Jess?
Only 3. The dead end people got it. That's all that got it.
All the adjoining property owners.
That would be the 3 adjoining properties.
Whichever properties.
Well, the dead end people.
Well, those are the ones that are touching the current property. And you have to get that letter by state statute. Because you would be upset if you didn't get the letter, you didn't know this was
I'm
coming
upset
in.
for this even happening. I'm upset because we're even here.
Well, I'm sorry to hear that. Me too. Because. No, I don't have to be. Here's the issue. I'm not gonna argue with everybody all night, okay? We're here for the variances. Anything that, other than the variances, we will have another public hearing where we can talk about traffic and all that. That's another public hearing, and you 3 will be notified again of that meeting whenever that happens, and you're welcome to come back and we will talk about anything that has to do with site plan approval. But from here on out, all we're gonna talk about from here on out are the variances that are before us. Because if we don't, we're gonna be here all night. So please, and you can be heard again with all of your concerns at the next public meeting, which we will talk about with site plan approval. And that has to do with traffic flow, how it goes in and out of the parking lot. All of that will be discussed during site plan approval. And you will all have ample opportunity to let your thoughts be known, pro and con, either one. But tonight, please, let's keep on track here, and let's talk about the 7 variances that are before us. Okay, please. Thank you. So, I can't remember where we're even at now, Mr. President.
We're ready for we've got a motion and a second for the first variance.
Have we asked for any more comment from the public?
Yes.
Okay.
we have,
Okay,
and those are the comments we got.
okay.
All right. I'll call for the question. All those in favor of the first variance signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? That variance passed. The second variance.
Go right ahead.
Minimum set.
Yeah, the second variance is for the maximum front yard setback.
Maximum front yard setback. Mike, do you want to come up and handle this one? I'm going to have our engineer talk about this one.
Good evening. My name is Mike Timko, address 500 East 96th Street, Indianapolis, Indiana. So the second variance has to do with the maximum front yard setback, which, because it's in an overlay district, is only 20 feet from the right-of-way. So this variance and the first variance actually work in conjunction with one another, because by having the two-lane drive-through between the building and the right-of-way, it's therefore forcing the building to sit further back from the right-of-way frontage. So what we've asked, and it's in conjunction with this site plan, is to increase that maximum setback along Reed Road from 20 feet to 32 feet. And so it's worth noting that the reason we need this variance is because the canopy is technically a freestanding structure, the one that Justin talked about for the pickup orders. So because it's a freestanding structure, it's therefore an accessory structure that would be in front of there as well. So otherwise, we can answer any questions on this particular variance.
Is there enough room for a traffic lane beyond the canopy, between the canopy and the edge of the parking lot?
So right now, we actually pushed it over as far as possible so that we, one, weren't impacting any more going towards the existing buildings, but also just so we were reducing the ask of how far this variance would push the primary building. So right now, we do have a two-lane drive-through shown, but there wouldn't be room for an additional road, for an additional lane beyond those two lanes.
It's a little different than most of the Chick-fil-A's I've seen.
And that's what I was going to bring up, is that this is a little bit different than most Chick-fil-A's. It would look like the one we just opened up on West Carmel on Michigan Avenue, or the one in Avon, or the one in West Lafayette, with the double drive-through all the way around. So that's a newer design post-COVID. Okay, so prior to COVID, we'd had two lanes leading up to the order points, and then we would filter those two lanes down to one around the building. And what we've learned from COVID is there's multiple different service channels, drive-through. You can place a order on your mobile app and enter the drive-through lanes. So that second lane from the order point around the building, we call that a dual flex drive-through lane, and the local owner operator could use that second lane in one of three ways. So during non-peak hours, not peak hours would be lunchtime and dinner time. We do serve breakfast, but it's just not that popular yet. But during non-peak hours, they'll likely operate this store like the old stores, order in two lanes, and then filter you down into one lane. And then that second lane at the pickup window is more of a bypass lane. Okay, so that's one way they could use it. The second way they can use it is during peak hours. So we can't control demand. Everybody in this room, if they come at the same exact time, we can't control that. But what we can control is how we design the site. So during peak hours, if there's a big demand, you may order in lane 2, and we may say just stay in lane 2, drive around the building, and we'll bring your food out to you in lane 2 at the pickup window, meaning one of our associates would cross over lane 1 and bring your food to you in lane 2, and you exit from lane 2 as well, so you stay in the same lane that you ordered. So that's the learning from COVID, is utilizing that has actually increased our efficiency quite a bit. So this is the new design that we're taking across the country post-COVID. Then the third way that they could use that lane, again, if this is an area where there's a high mobile order usage, they may dedicate one of those two lanes as just a mobile through lane. So if you place an order on the mobile app, there's an inherent value of speed there, right? Your order's placed ahead of time, but if you enter the drive-through lane with everyone else, that inherent value of speed goes away. So in some instances, the local owner-operator will choose dedicate one of those 2 lanes as a mobile through lane, meaning this lane is only for mobile orders, and you'll scan a QR code when you get there. It'll tell the restaurant you're here, you stay in that lane, and then we'll deliver that food to you in that lane. Does that help?
A little. I'm still concerned that if you've got 2 lanes that are dedicated to a canopy, that if you have any kind of traffic that circles your property, they don't have anywhere to go.
Yeah, there should be no need to circle the building unless you're going through the drive-through.
That's what I was gonna ask you. It looks like you have most of your parking on the south side.
That's
in front
correct.
of your building.
That's
and
right.
then To the
Yeah.
east side.
So there's no parking on the north, and then there's no parking on the west. So parking is only on the south and the east. So there would be no need to circle the building unless you're going through the drive-through. So another difference with this design from some of the other ones you might see in the Indianapolis market, we used to put the building in the center of the property, and then the drive-through is immediately around the building and all the parking around that. Now we're trying to isolate the drive-through, so you as a consumer, if you park, you don't have to cross the drive-through lanes to get into and out of the building.
Okay.
How close is this to the walk-in clinic and the is it close enough it's going to affect the parking for that walk-in clinic?
It's across the driveway.
It won't affect the parking for the.
Man,
for the-
I don't go there that often, but
No, it won't affect that traffic.
do people going to the walk-in clinic park across the driveway?
No, they park.
There's enough parking around the clinic?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, yes, ma'am. Yeah, and it won't affect their parking.
I can't see it.
You know, more I think of it, if he would run a meeting pretty damn well, that would have made me mad. The more I think about it, the more longer I sit here, the harder I get.
Don't worry about it.
Oh, I'm gonna just smack dab in the middle of this meeting.
Jeffrey Cowell, 1200 Imperial Drive. I want to know if this variance is going to affect the rainwater runoff because Belvedere and Imperial Drive all feed into that large ditch between 931 and Imperial.
Again, drainage and all that will be looked at during site plan approval, sir. It will be looked at, I guarantee you.
Thank you.
Okay? You're welcome.
Have any other comments from the audience? Have any other comments from board members? Not, we have a motion and a second for the maximum front yard variance. All those in favor? Say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion passed.
So the next variance will be the 10% to maximum pervious coverage.
Yep, so the third variance is to increase the max impervious coverage, which by code would be 70% to 80% in this condition. As it was noted earlier, as everyone can see, it is an existing parking lot today. It's approximately 96% of impervious coverage today. So we're actually proposing to reduce that about 16% so that there will be notably more green space than the existing condition. And even though drainage will get covered in the future, that actually helps. Those go hand in hand, that increasing the amount of green space so more water can infiltrate. There's going to be substantially more green space in the future condition than what's there today. So this request would be, again, we're trying to minimize the amount of disturbance that we've got in the parking lot. So we're trying to keep the site plan condensed, which is why we can't meet the full 70% required by code.
But in reality, with this variance, you're making it better with all
Absolutely.
with the green space.
Significantly better.
Absolutely.
Have any comments from the audience? Any more comments from the board? We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed.
Director, what do you think we ought to read the petitions into the facts into the record before we get too far?
I'm sorry?
We haven't put into the record if we're gonna go through.
Yeah, we can. We could do that anytime. Yeah, that's fine. So we probably need to have the people read their
If the petitioner would step up and read these findings. The findings of fact.
Now, I will note that these findings of fact were put together as one, so I'll try to stop when we get to the ones that we haven't gotten to yet.
Our main concern is it has to be part of the record.
Sure.
That's our
Sure.
main concern.
Absolutely.
So.
Would you like me to go ahead and read for all the variances then?
I
That's
personally
fine.
don't have a problem with it. I
Okay.
just want
We'll do
it
that.
all in the record.
Yep.
It's got to be in the records.
Absolutely. Okay, so the first finding of fact, the approval will not be injurious to the public health, safety, morals, and general welfare of the community. The drive-through is proposed to be located between the proposed building and Reed Road in order to extend the drive-through length and prevent cars waiting in for the drive-through from spilling into the parking lot. The order pickup canopy structure is meant to provide protection for customers and employees while orders are being delivered to vehicles. If the drive-through were without the order pickup canopy structure, it would potentially be injurious for the health, safety, and general welfare of the public, as it would be removing protection for the customers and employees. The order pickup canopy is proposed to be located along the frontage of the building. The order pickup canopy is to be separated from the primary structure by a distance of 1 inch. Visually, it will appear as if the structures are connected and that the 20-foot maximum front setback is being met. The primary building will be located approximately 32 feet from the property line. The impervious coverage percentage from the existing condition is being reduced. In the existing condition, the impervious lot coverage is 96.7%. The proposed site plan has an impervious lot coverage percentage of 80%, a reduction of 16.7% impervious coverage from the existing condition. Because a portion of the parking lot area is to be shared, it is impractical to reach code required impervious coverage. The sign proposed is wayfinding in nature for an impulse-driven business that will be positioned approximately 400 feet from a major intersection. Chick-fil-A customers will be exiting US Route 31 in search of this fast service destination. GPS technology isn't always used and or accurate. The United States Sign Council recommends visibility standards for parallel signs and letter heights for legibility. The sign height proposed is necessary for the signs to be legible and visible at posted speed limits along this divided highway near a congested intersection. The signs proposed will not be injurious to the public health, safety, morals, or welfare, but rather contribute to the safety of motorists and transient guests traveling here. The signs are consistent with the overall types of signs that exist in this area, and the signs are allowed by code overall. The zoning ordinance makes allowances that are more appropriate for a single street facing facade. This particular property is unique in nature. The signage proposed is consistent with the line of sight here for motorists traveling from various points of entry and in keeping with the intent of providing adequate notification of this business's existence. The sign size proposed is measured in a single rectangle method that makes the size 58.75 square feet. However, when measuring the letters themselves, the sign is 37 square feet in size. The top of the C, risers and descenders, take up extra space within the square footage of the letter set. The approval would not be injurious to the public health, safety, morals, and general welfare because signs are not intended to harm the community, but rather inform. The zoning ordinance makes allowances that are more appropriate for a single street facing facade. This particular property is unique in nature. The signage proposed is consistent with the line of sight here for motorists traveling from various points of entry and in keeping with the intent of providing adequate notification of this business's existence. The second finding of fact, the use and value of the area adjacent to the property included in the variance will not be affected in a substantially adverse manner. The use and value of the area adjacent to the property included in the variance will not be affected in a substantially adverse manner because the extended drive-through will help prevent cars waiting for the drive-through from causing traffic issues in the parking lot for the overall development. This will help ensure that traffic will continue to flow through the parking lot and that other businesses in this area are still accessible. The use and value of the area adjacent to the property included in the variance will not be affected in a substantially adverse manner because the order pickup canopy will serve to protect customers and employees and serve as a net benefit to the overall development. As can be seen in the attached building elevations, the canopy structure is open air and matches the architectural style of the building. The use and value of the area adjacent to the property included in the variance will not be affected in a substantially adverse manner because it will appear as if the primary structure and the order point canopy are connected and that the 20-foot maximum front setback is being met. The impervious coverage percentage from the existing condition is being reduced, meaning more green space and a parking lot that is more aesthetically pleasing for the overall development. Signs of this size and type exist in this area. Nearby competitors have signs that exceed the maximum 2-foot letter height limitations. The use and value of the area adjacent to the property is not impacted negatively by this proposal, as it is related to something that already exists within the zoning district. The signs proposed are designed to inform and be legible. The actual square footage coverage of these letters is much smaller. The building faces multiple parking lots and has various points of entry to that lot. The primary building entrance is on the parking lot facing an elevation of the structure. All of these factors contribute to the need for additional signs and square footage as it relates to the design of a restaurant that is a drive-through establishment with multiple points of entry. The use and value of this area adjacent to this will be enhanced by new construction and the existence of a viable business in what was otherwise a vacant parking lot area. This will have a positive impact on the area overall. The third finding of fact, the strict application of the terms of this zoning ordinance will result in a practical difficulty. This situation shall not be self-imposed nor be based on a perceived reduction of or restriction of economic gain. The strict application of the terms of this zoning ordinance will result in a practical difficulty, as shortening the drive-through or orienting it in a different way around the building is likely to cause traffic problems within the parking lot, preventing the flow of traffic and making it difficult to access the other businesses. The circumstances presented with this site are unique because the site is within an existing parking lot and a portion of the parking will be shared. The strict application of the terms of this zoning ordinance will result in a practical difficulty because it would mean removing a protective measure for customers and employees and would be a significant detriment to the overall operation of the drive-through. The strict application of the terms of this zoning ordinance will result in a practical difficulty because it would push the primary structure closer to the right-of-way, meaning that the drive-through and order pickup canopy would be unable to be located on this side of the building. This would lead to a reduced drive-through size, which could cause traffic to spill into the parking lot for the overall development. The strict application of the terms of this zoning ordinance will result in a practical difficulty because the site has been designed to maintain flow of traffic for the overall development and as many of the existing parking spaces as possible. Requiring another 10% of pervious area for this site would mean a further loss of parking spaces from the overall development and could mean disrupted traffic flow for the overall parking lot. The strict application of the terms of this zoning ordinance will result in practical difficulties that arise when motorists cannot safely identify their destination. The signs are designed with the overall intent of the zoning ordinance and in keeping with the intent to promote safety, convenience, and development in ways that encourage growth. The community strives for high aesthetic values that the signs proposed are appropriate in design and aesthetic in nature. The application of the ordinance will make it difficult for persons traveling from the nearby interstate highway to locate Chick-fil-A in the absence of signage that is visible to oncoming motorists. Those cars that have entered the shopping center from the north and south will be using the signs on the north and south walls to identify this restaurant and restaurant location from their vantage point, not the monument sign. The strict application of the law would restrict Chick-fil-A from being able to fully represent themselves to potential impulse-driven patrons that are exiting from the shopping center. The size and number of signs necessary are the result of multiple vantage points caused by entrances in an existing shopping center. The signs proposed are the minimum necessary for this type of business to be visible and seen from all points of entry as an out parcel to a shopping center. Businesses that have a single elevation facing a single street would use a single sign that complies with the 2 square feet to linear foot of building frontage allowance and Thrive. This business has 3 customer entrances, one street frontage, 3 parking lot frontages, and points of access, as well as 2 drive-through lanes and a drive-through window, which is also a customer access point. Most businesses are allowed to identify their entrances. Allowing only 139.17 square feet of sign area here would create a practical difficulty because the signs would not be legible and thereby be ineffective. The zoning district will not be harmed by the granting of this variance. The variance would, however, enhance the overall safety of the citizens and allow for the proper use of this land as a fast food restaurant. Lack of visible signage has been proven to create situations where persons are seeking a destination and make sudden stops along busy roadways, which in turn creates accidents. Signs help to prevent accidents by allowing potential patrons to identify their destination and prepare for turns when necessary while traveling at posted speeds.
Thank you. Well done. Would you like to read mine? Mine are quite a bit shorter. Okay, to read mine?
Go ahead.
Findings for case P36V23, approval will not be injurious to public health, safety, morals, and general welfare of the community. The requested variances will not encroach on any property lines or recorded easements. They will not block vision or create any safety hazards. As such, the approval of the requested variances will not be injurious to public health, safety, morals, or general welfare of the community. All variances will be contained entirely on the subject property. The use and value of the area adjacent to the property, including the variance, will not be affected in a substantially adverse manner. The requested variances for drive-through placement, larger front yard setback, greater impervious surface, and accessory structure placement will not impact neighboring properties in a negative manner, as they will be contained entirely on the subject property. The new building will be modern and aesthetically pleasing. However, the requested variance for larger and more signage may impact the aesthetics of the area, as they will be larger than anything allowed for surrounding restaurants such as McDonald's, Popeyes, Raising Cane's, and White Castle. Strict application of the terms of this zoning ordinance will result in a practical difficulty. This situation shall not be self-imposed nor be based on perceived reduction of or restriction of economic gain. Due to the drive-through needs and notoriety of the subject restaurant, the petitioners face a practical difficulty in order to place their drive-through so it may wrap appropriately and not impede traffic. This also impacts their need for an increased front yard setback and placing an accessory structure in front of the primary structure. If these variances are not granted, it may be impractical or impossible for the petitioners to safely install a drive-through of the magnitude needed for Chick-fil-A. There's no practical difficulty for the request for increased signage. With the advent of GPS and smartphones, large signs on every elevation are no longer necessary and have not been granted in this corridor for many years. The staff requests that the board make their own determination based on the facts presented.
Thank you. All right, so now we're ready for,
We are ready for the accessory structure, I believe. Yes.
So this variance request is to allow an accessory structure between the primary structure and the right-of-way frontage, in this instance, Reed Road. This also pertains to the first couple variances for the site plan. As shown on the screen here, the blue hatched or shaded area is the canopy structure for the pickup area. And so since, as I mentioned earlier, since this technically is not connected to the building, it is considered an accessory structure, even though when you're out there and actually seeing the site, it is going to look as though it's seamless and connected to the primary structure. So happy to answer any questions on this one.
thank you. Any questions from anybody on the board? Any questions for anybody in the audience? I have no questions. You have a motion in a second? All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed. The next one, Mr. Sheehan.
The next one is for variance of 3 feet to section 4.241 of wall sign height.
Yeah, as Mike mentioned, our signs, the C.
If you would, do I have a motion and a second for that?
We did a motion for all of them. Yes, we did. Yeah,
Go ahead,
motion
Dick.
second's
Okay.
already been made, yes.
So the sign ordinance allows for a sign, the letters to be up to 2 feet tall. All of our letters are 2 feet 6 inches tall, with the exception of the C, since it's a capital C, and that C is 5 feet. So that's why we were asking for 3 feet. Obviously, we'd be asking for 6 more inches on the other ones as well, since your code only allows for 2 feet, but since they're 2 feet 6 inches. So that's the request for the sign variance.
Do you have any questions from anybody on board?
What are we talking about? Size?
Yeah.
I appreciate the way you defined that, but the way our ordinance state is by the letter, it's not by the sign. So, I mean, you can say it's a 6-inch difference, but it's not. Anybody on the board can correct me if I'm wrong. I don't believe we've let anyone go over 3 feet on a sign since we changed the ordinance. That being said, we've had a lot of people come in front of us and ask for different variances, but that's one thing that we said from day one when we redid the sign ordinance, that the numbers come from the overall dimension of the sign, not the letters on the sign, and that we have not wavered more than a 3-foot letter. I see no reason why this is any different than any other business that's come in front of us requesting a sign.
And we started working 8-9 years ago on this new sign ordinance for the 931 corridor after the new bypass was opened up. And the intent was to lower, we had a lot of pole signs, different heights. Our intent was to lower those to all 8-foot ground signs. In the past 2 years, I believe we've lowered almost 214 signs along that corridor. So the goal has always been, in the last 8 or 9 years, to decrease signage, not increase signage.
Right.
We have allowed up to 3 foot for, and I think this board would be okay with that. We have for other businesses. We're trying to be consistent, and my fear is if we go against what our ordinance says, we've opened up that can of worms that we would never be able to close again.
Sure.
And it would defeat all of the work that's been done in the last 8 or 9 years on the sign ordinance.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to describe. The majority of the sign is 2.5 feet. It's just the C, since it's a capital Chick-fil-A, capital C.
So that's where I stand on it. I agree with Mr. Besser. I hate to see
Anything bigger?
yeah, I'm fine with the 3 foot, but anything bigger than that, I personally would not like to see that happen. But it's not my vote. It's your vote. I just know the work that we've done to create a more aesthetically pleasing corridor there. I think that's the reason we did this. And anyone who's driven up and down 931 corridor lately, surely you've noticed all the crazy monstrosity signs that were out there have all come down, but about 8, I think. There's about 8 left that we still have to tackle. So that work has been done over several years, and I would just hate to see us go backwards. I guess that's the best way to put it. I'd hate to see us go backwards.
So they wouldn't need the variance if they stick within,
Pardon me?
they would not need this variance if they stick within what's in,
Correct.
okay.
Correct.
So everybody comes in, they want
Yeah.
to measure, and that's not the way it's written. It's the whole sign, and everyone else is stuck in 3 feet. That's my opinion. So.
Any comments from anybody in the audience?
I'm Brian Helm. I'm a local business owner. I've dealt with your sign ordinance. You guys have cost the businesses of Kokomo an enormous amount of money with your draconian sign ordinance. But I want all of you to drive out to the corner of Center Road and 931 and look at the gas station next to Cone Palace and look what your sign ordinance is doing. Go look at that thing, and there are multiple signs hanging all over, falling over, and tell me how a Chick-fil-A 5-foot C that we know is going to look nice, you know it's going to look nice, is going to harm the community. I understand you wrote a sign ordinance and you want people to obey it, and you're trying to make the place look better. Drive out there and look at that gas station. Drive around and look at some of the gas stations and all their jewel signs and everything else, and then come back and tell these guys, your sign is not going to be, it's going to hurt the community.
Well,
Go look at it.
I'm probably going to get in trouble for this statement, but I'm going to give you an answer.
Okay?
Because I drive all over the city every day. And this man right here, he gets tired of hearing me. Okay? There are people all over the place that are violating how many signs they are supposed to have.
I'm sure.
There's not one thing as an individual or as a member of this board I can do about it other than complain.
Then your
I have
sign
complained-
ordinance is
I have
worthless.
complained and complained and complained. I can't help it if somebody's breaking the rules and putting too many signs up way over. That has nothing to do with what I base my opinion on here.
So you have
My
no
opinion is
enforcement.
That's not our job. That's not my job. I'm just telling you that there's a lot of people that are breaking the rules and I can't do anything about it. So don't put words in my mouth saying that I'm
didn't say-
allowing this gentleman to do something.
I didn't say you're allowing it. I said your
Well,
sign
evidently-
ordinance isn't working.
Well, that's not, I don't disagree, I disagree with that completely. Now, are you talking about the stick signs?
They got signs hanging on poles, they've got stick signs, they got all kinds of signs, and the half of them are falling down.
Trust me, we are looking at that. We do our best. I have one code enforcement officer who works part-time. And how many gas stations? The last count, we had 55 gas stations in Kokomo.
Yeah.
So I don't.
And they're all hanging jewel signs and everything else.
I don't disagree with you at all.
You know,
But just because they're doing it wrong doesn't mean we have to.
I understand, but a 5-foot C on a Chick-fil-A is gonna look really nice compared to what we got going on. You know, and I can tell you, when the subject comes up, all these people are gonna be back when that high mark sign comes up. It's been a staple in Kokomo for years, and when you guys try to get them to lower it, we're all gonna be back.
That's fine.
But, you know,
You have every right to complain.
I understand,
Yes, sir.
but their 5-foot capital C isn't gonna hurt us. Sam's Club sign's awful big on the side of their building.
Do I have any other comments from the audience, from the board? If not, all those in favor, signify by saying aye. Those opposed?
No.
Nay. Motion denied.
Was that unanimous?
Yes.
Okay, so the next one will be for the variance of 2 wall signs, I believe. That's where we're at now.
So one sign is allowed because we have frontage along State Route 931. So that would be on the west elevation. And what you would see up on the screen there would be the one on the far right. That's the west elevation. So that's the sign that's allowed. We're asking for 2 more, one on the south elevation over our front door, signifying the entrance to our store, and then one on the north elevation, since you can access the development from Markland Avenue as well. Typically, we'd ask for 4 signs. Once you're in the development, you wouldn't need one on the east elevation. We're not asking for that. We're just asking for 2 more, because you can enter the property in 2 different areas and then one over the front entrance door.
For what it's worth, as the director, I really don't have a huge problem with this variance because of where the building is set and how the traffic's going to be proposedly coming in and out. I really don't have a problem with the 2 extra wall signs as long as they're at the height that our ordinance asks them to be. But I honestly don't have I understand the practical difficulty with where this building is going to be set. That's for what it's worth.
Where's the location of the ground signs compared to any of those signs?
The location of the ground sign, if we want to flip back to the site plan, I can call that out. So the location of the ground sign would be on the northwest corner there.
As you come off the drive?
Can I step over there and show you? So it's just going to be on the outside of the drive-through lane, on the south side of the entrance from.
And you want to put the wall signs where?
Put one wall sign right there. That's on the west elevation, so facing there, and then one on the north that Mike is pointing to. So it's the northeast corner, since you're going to be coming off of Markland, and basically the healthcare clinic is directly north of us. So, and then one over the entrance doors on the south. No stick signs. It would be
Wall signs.
correct. So 3 wall signs, 1 freestanding ground-mounted sign.
You're not putting one on the east side.
Correct.
Do you have any comments, questions?
Yeah, I know. What's this gonna do to the next part as far as?
The next part would change, the cumulative
Beg
number. The cumulative number will change if we have to shrink the size of our signs, so.
Will be needed.
Correct. I don't know if it will be. I'll have to get with our sign company to see how we can stay within your ordinance of 2 feet.
Yeah, because if we allow the 2 extra signs, then obviously your overall square footage is going to change.
Correct.
So,
The overall square footage as presented is based on what we presented with the 5-foot
that's
C
what you
icon.
presented.
The 3 wall signs is in what your overall for the 88.
Yes, sir.
So the 88 is including your 3 wall signs?
Correct.
Okay.
And if you decrease the size, and if you decrease one of those signs, my question is, if you decrease the size, and you decrease that by one size, do you even need a variance?
You may not need the variance for the 88.
That's my question. I mean, number one, when you go to a restaurant, 90% of the time you know where it's at. The other 10% of the time, you probably order it on your phone. If you're in the parking lot, you don't know what building you're in. I just don't see a need for 3 wall signs personally. I don't see for that much signage. I'm one person.
Yeah, and for comparison, the health clinic just to the north has 3 wall signs as well. It wouldn't look out of place, I guess, is what I was saying, trying to get to. Don't want to get into this one has this one has that, but
My question was 3 wall signs without the overall variance or with, that was where my thinking was.
my assumption is if we have to meet a 2-foot total height, the C icon at 2 feet, the other letters are going to be like 6 inches. You're not going to see them at all. So we're likely not even going to need the 88 square feet just by meeting your ordinance. The signs will look like very, very tiny on that elevation. It'll look aesthetically incorrect.
If you approve the 88 square foot and they come in lower, that's better because it was
Less than, not
advertised.
more than.
Yeah, it was advertised at 88, you could always approve lower, so.
Yes, sir.
Have a question from the audience.
Are these lights going to be on all night long on Chick-fil-A and their building? So I won't need security lights at my home anymore because their lights are going to be on all night long and they'll be shining in my house?
If they are, ma'am, they can't encroach on your property line. That's a.
Well, now listen, lights are lights. I don't care which way you look at it. Lights do shine all night long.
There is a lighting ordinance. Lighting,
Okay. Well, I'm sorry.
that's okay. The lighting ordinance says that it cannot encroach on your property line or over anybody's property. Now, if that happens, and you call me, and we'll get ahold of Chick-fil-A and we'll make them fix it. And that's all I can answer. We do have a lighting ordinance, and it's there for a reason, because I agree with you. You don't want lights shining in your bedroom window or your front window. I get that.
No, I don't.
So.
I mean, I have the security lights on the street, which is
understand.
okay. That's the city. I understand that.
I understand that too. That's
But I
why-
don't need anything else, and I guess I won't. I mean, yeah.
But that's why we have a lighting ordinance, so that, hopefully that won't happen. And if it does, like I said, you call our office and we'll do our best to get it taken care of.
Well, like I said, Chick-fil-A could find somebody else to do
Well,
it.
that's not.
I
this-
agree
That's
with
not
that.
this board's.
I know. There's other places.
Okay. Thank you.
I will shed some light on the subject here, pun intended. Our hours of operation are from 6 a.m. to 10:30 p.m. generally, so they would not, the building signs nor the freestanding sign would be on after those hours.
Okay. Pardon me?
Dark at 4:35 o'clock now, so you get 5 hours of darkness for the lights to go on.
That's every restaurant in Kokomo, folks. I mean, that's just the bottom line. I mean, restaurants are gonna have lit signs. I mean, every business in Kokomo has lighted signs. As long as those lights aren't encroaching on your property line, there's nothing that this board can do about it. Sorry, but if it encroaches on your property, you just need to let us know, and we'll do our best to take care of it.
Have any other comments from the audience? State your name and address.
Drew Matthews, 3208 Walton Way. Is there discussion on any additional signage that'll be along Markland?
No.
Because that entrance will be very difficult to see coming either direction to get into that entrance into the parking lot, kind of like the Burger King situation over on LaFountain and Lincoln. So that's one question of how our ordinance is going to handle that. Where will that be? What size would that be? Maybe that's questions for the next meeting. I'm not sure.
It would be. Yes, sir.
We did look into that because we did want some kind of representation on Markland Avenue, but the code would not allow any representation on Markland Avenue as it would be an off-premise sign. So we wouldn't have any representation up there, which is why we were asking for the one on the north side of the building.
Thank you.
Okay, so any other questions from the audience? Any other questions from members of the board? We had the motion and second for 2 additional signs, if I'm correct?
Yes, correct.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? It's passed.
Okay, the last variance would be for the 88 square foot overall signage.
Sure, and I do believe that would likely go away if we have to confine to the 2 foot height. I heard 2 foot, but I also heard 3 foot, so I want to 3. Maximum height is 3. Okay.
This calls for 2. We've let everybody else go to 3.
Got it. Okay. By quick calculations, I think we'd be under the total allowable square footage, but I'll leave that up to you on how you want to handle that if we have to comply to the 3 foot.
So you're suggesting that we not hear that variance tonight, then? You don't think you'll need it?
I don't think we'll need it.
Okay. I mean, keep in mind, if we don't do it tonight and then you find out you do need it, you'll have to come back before the board.
Right.
So,
You may vote at, no more than that if you want, like you talked about earlier, but I don't believe it will be needed if we comply.
I think I would feel more comfortable voting for the 88 square foot, and then hopefully they can come in under that. I would rather give them the variance, and then they not need it than not give it and they have to come back. That's my thought. So, the board can do whatever they want.
You don't think it leaves the door open?
No, because I think their intent is to reduce it.
At no more than
The 88, correct.
And I apologize asking this question up front here, but the site where it's at, as we know, some time ago, the state wanted to put stanchions down down Markland Avenue from Walmart to Cooper Street, and that was nixed. There's going to be a lot of issues pulling in off of right there in front of Staples. I work there, and I've seen a lot of accidents right there. So I'm not sure where we need to go next to figure out what to do in that situation, because there's going to be a lot of traffic to turn in there, crossing over, turn left-hand turns. I know
My
one time.
understanding, Cleve, that there's already discussions, that the state's already looking at some options. On
The state does not regulate that now. It was turned over to the city.
Not on 31.
No, not 31, but Markland Avenue, State Road 22, and that's where I'm talking about, right in front of Staples, between the north end of Staples. Right there, it's going to be a big mess right there. I mean, I've seen it. You got people turning in there. With this, you're going to have a lot more traffic turning in there, and that needs to be taken care of too. And I realize it's not in this entity, but
No, I agree, it's something we definitely need to look at, yes.
yeah, so that'd be the Plan Commission?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, that would be Plan Commission.
Okay, thanks, John.
Do I have any other questions or comments from the audience? Any more questions, comments from the board?
I got one question. What's your target open date?
It's hard to say because we still have to go through the site plan phase. So until we get that approved, we really don't have one. But if we get through that phase, then we would go into our CD production and submit for permits right away, and then start as soon as we could.
How long does it take to normally build them?
Once we start, it's about 24 weeks, call it 6 months from ground break to grand open. So, yeah.
Thanks.
Okay, we have the motion for the 88 square foot sign. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion passed. Do we have any further business, Mr. Sheeline?
I have no other business. I want to thank everyone for coming out tonight. I'm sorry for some of the confusion, but we did the best we could with what we had before us. So, thank you all.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion passed. Meeting is adjourned.